Welcome to Heritage Documentary Television as we present you the oldest secondary school in Nigeria. By this, we mean the very first secondary school that was established in Nigeria out of the several thousands of secondary schools that we have spread across the nation today. Before delving into the details, however, it is important to stretch out certain facts concerning the evolution of the Nigerian educational system. The Nigerian educational system has evolved over the years, structured into three clear categories: the primary, the secondary, and the tertiary levels of education. Furthermore, the subject of the oldest secondary school in Nigeria brings to mind the concept of Western education, that is, the formal system of education that came with the colonization experience. In that wise, it becomes imperative to state that before Nigeria experienced colonization, Nigeria never actually lacked what to call education. Nigeria had always had the indigenous educational system, even in the times to call ancient. The only thing that was never there was that the indigenous educational system operated informally, hence the quick assumption that the Europeans were the ones that introduced education to Africa, Nigeria in this case. This error that smears of the arrogance of class insinuation must be put in perspective to foreground a thorough appreciation of our national history, our national pride, and indeed our national heritage. Of course, this is what we represent as Heritage Documentary Television. We tell the African story the African way. According to S.A. Oladipo and J.O. Ayeni in their book, A Handbook of Educational Theory, the primary objective of the indigenous educational system that was on ground before the introduction of Western education in Nigeria included: 1. Physical development, that is, physical activities such as social and ritualistic dancing, jumping, wrestling, etc. 2. Moral training, vis-a-vis good ethics, moral values, respect for others, good conduct, honesty, etc. 3. Intellectual development, the study of local history, legends and oral poetry, etc. 4. Vocational training, wherein young ones were taught to develop positive attitude towards labor, a model of education that was acquired under master craftsmen, e.g. weaving, carving, etc. And 5. Training in culture, that placed emphasis on the transmission of culture, e.g. naming ceremonies, religious practices, coronation of kings and chiefs, annual festivals and rituals, etc. And as Oladipo and Ayeni rightly affirm, the indigenous educational system that Nigeria had before the introduction of Western education never lacked a curriculum. It actually operated a functional curriculum that branched out into three broad areas: A. Moral curriculum, B. Vocational curriculum, and C. Social curriculum. In addition to all that has been said, there yet remains one strong factor that cannot be ignored as we consider the subject of the oldest secondary school in Nigeria, especially as we are constrained by the order of events to view this from the perspective of Western education. To this end, it must be emphasized for the purpose of setting our history straight that before the advent of Western education in Nigeria, Islamic education had already been introduced in northern Nigeria, courtesy of the 14th century invasion of northern Nigeria by Uthman Dan Fodio. Western education, otherwise referred to as formal education, was introduced into Nigeria in 1842 after the arrival of Thomas Birch Freeman and Henry Townsend, two British missionaries in Badagry, Lagos, that same year. They set up the first primary school that Nigeria ever had in Badagry almost immediately after settling down to work. And 17 years later, that is, the year 1859, the need to have a secondary school in Nigeria became obvious, and Lagos fittingly provided itself as the most suitable location for that enterprise. By this time, Bishop Samuel Ajayi Crowther had enormous influence over the affairs of the church in Nigeria, especially the southern part of the country, being the head of the Christ Missionary Society, now Anglican Church in the region. On June 6, 1859, the strong desire to set up a secondary school in Nigeria became a reality with the birth of CMS Grammar School, Lagos. As the name implies, the school was founded by the Church Missionary Society, CMS, which is today known as the Anglican Church, Nigeria. CMS Grammar School, Lagos, was modeled after CMS Grammar School, Freetown, Sierra Leone. Note that CMS Grammar School, Freetown, Sierra Leone had earlier been founded by the Church Missionary Society, CMS, in 1848, 11 years before CMS Grammar School, Lagos, was founded. Babington Macaulay, son of Ojo Oriare, served as the founder and the first principal of CMS Grammar School, Lagos. He thus became the first secondary school principal that Nigeria ever had. Babington Macaulay was a scholar and a theologian. He enjoyed the strong mentorship of Bishop Ajayi Crowther. Babington Macaulay was ordained into the Christian ministry in 1854. The same year he married his wife, Abigail, the daughter of Bishop Ajayi Crowther. That marriage produced the great Nigerian nationalist, Sir Herbert Macaulay, who himself was an alumnus of CMS Grammar School, Lagos. One name that cannot be ignored in the founding of CMS Grammar School, Lagos, is James Pinson Labulo Davis. James Pinson Labulo Davis gave so much support and encouragement to Babington Macaulay towards the establishment of CMS Grammar School, Lagos. In 1859, he provided Babington Macaulay with £50 to buy books and equipment towards the school project. That money provided the foundation for the takeoff of the school, which today has grown to become the prestigious CMS Grammar School, Lagos. The school started with 6 students in a small single-story building, otherwise known as the Cotton House on Broad Street, Lagos. All 6 students were boarding house students in the Cotton House, Broad Street, Lagos, the facility that provided both hostel and classroom for the school at takeoff. CMS Grammar School, Lagos, is presently located in Bariga, Lagos. Several great minds have passed through CMS Grammar School, Lagos, e.g. Chief Ernest Shonekan, a former president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We shall beam our documentary searchlight on some of them in our subsequent episodes. Thank you for watching. One way you can encourage us is for you to subscribe to this channel by hitting the subscribe button below. By that, you also become one of the very first people that shall see our documentaries as they drop on this channel. Together, let's tell the African story well. We rejoice in this enterprise. We are Heritage Documentary Television.